It's movie time with John DeSando and his friends online. So everything is gonna be just fine. From the top down to the bottom. He's gonna let you know if you should stay home or if you should go. Might even yell if it's a spectacle. From San Francisco to Long Island. 'Cause nothing's better than emotion.
It's Movie Time. It's produced and hosted by John DeSando. Listen to broadcast shows Fridays at 4:01 and 8:01 p.m. Read reviews and listen to shows online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando,
And I'm Ezra Hoover.
and this is It's Movie Time. Well, it's been more than 28 days or years since I've seen you.
Or months.
And with the new baby Zoe coming along. And let's wait a second.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. It's
Perfect timing.
yeah. Anyway. We have a movie that are going to put a lot of people off. 28 years later,
Yes.
and I had my phone on there just so you get an idea. I think there's a little bit of technology in this.
There is.
Yeah.
There is. And that would set every zombie after us in a 10 square mile radius. So keep your phone on silent.
Well, you remember better than I do. 28 Days Later or
Yes.
something. The first
Yes.
one.
A cult classic. Beyond a cult classic, I think it was a pretty commercial success too.
All right.
But nothing has really captured that gritty survival element. The pacing is fantastic, and the classic story of a guy who just wakes up in the hospital. He doesn't know what's happening.
All right.
We, as the audience, discover what's happened to the world, as he does too.
Can you speak further about this in our podcast?
Yes. of
All right,
course.
good. All right. Now, so on 28 Years Later, which is the film that's out there now,
Mhm.
I'm saying there are members of the family, teenagers and up, who might enjoy this film. Am I correct?
Oh, absolutely. Fantastic.
But isn't it really grimy and gory? You talk about gritty for the
Oh,
first
it's
one.
definitely rated R. It definitely is. But for any fan of the genre, I think it's a great choice. You've got to watch it. It may not be what you're expecting. I would say if you're going to watch this, just get rid of your expectations. Come with an open mind.
Okay, so this is survivalist stuff, right?
It is.
I mean, people worry about zombies, and we got some pretty grimy creatures in this.
And that's probably one of the best. That's I would say undebatably the most successful part of this movie is the visual effects. Fantastic.
Oh,
And the
yeah.
interesting part is the evolution. 28 Days Later, the first movie was shot on what was new technology at the time, digital video,
Oh.
which looks awful. It looks
Yes.
absolutely terrible, worse than VHS. And now we come full circle, and this one was shot mostly on a rig with a bunch of iPhones on it. Not even a movie camera. It's shot mostly on iPhone. And that allows them to do a lot of really cool things where you can switch your point of view in a second to whichever iPhone is on the rig. So you get
Yes.
a lot of these 360 cut views.
Yes,
which is very
right.
cool.
A lot of quick cutting.
Yes.
But the story's not that unusual, right?
No,
For this?
it's not. And I think that's where a lot of fans who are expecting just a continuation of the first one may be disappointed, because this is kind of a story about, it's not so focused on the virus itself and the origins and progressing and saving humanity. It's just kind of a personal, a human story.
Yeah, and I agree that there's so much less of the weird zombie stuff on this.
Right.
And then you add human weird with Dr. Kelson.
Right. Right.
Ray Fiennes.
Refined is fantastic. I thought he was amazing, and he went all for it. He's bright orange.
Yeah.
Almost reminds us of a certain
And
someone
buff
that
for
you
a
know.
guy's got to be in the 60s.
He looks great.
Yeah, he does.
He looks fantastic.
But anyway, he's the one, because they have to take mom to get treatment.
Yes.
It's not like you can go to Children's Hospital and just, right? You can't,
No,
you
no.
just can't take your baby there.
Right.
You got to go. And Fiennes is there, and with one of the visually most striking
Yeah.
and unforgettable images, their
Absolutely.
cone tower
Right.
of skeletons.
And that's something that I appreciated, because the interesting part about this series is each new installment is a progressively larger gap of time. The first is just days, and then is weeks and months. Now it's years. So to live with these zombies for years, I want to see something weird, something crazy has to be happening for this to go on for decades.
Yes.
It does not disappoint.
Yeah.
It is weird.
And in talking about the commonality of the storyline, you have to build a stockade, protect yourself.
Yes.
You know, so
Yes.
it's like going back decades
Right.
and centuries of what we've always done. We've
Right.
barricaded ourselves against the
From
bad
the
guys.
invading barbarian, like the Romans,
Yes.
building the wall against the barbarians.
Yes,
essentially.
right.
And so what did you think about there's a historical footage, well, fake historical footage of medieval times, of people shooting arrows from battlements and that sort of thing. Well, I don't know, what did you think the director was trying to say with that?
Well, I think in the simplest level, I think he's trying to connect us over the centuries.
Right,
And they're using arrows now in this one,
right,
which is, you know, always seems strange to me. And,
It
and I
is.
mean, any of these science fiction type movies,
mm-hmm.
they're still, in our superhero movies, they're still have fisticuffs.
Right.
You know,
right.
how do you do that when you
Right, well,
technology?
and something that bothered me from a logistics standpoint is you're going out on a run, a survival run into the
Yes.
dangerous. They have bows and arrows that they hand cart, which is cool. It's kind of tying back the history of the British, the English and their famous archery. But bring a stick, you know? There's no club, no hand-to-hand weapon. The zombies running at you, if you're out of arrows, you're done.
Boy,
Never-
and you want to know something? I'm
Yeah.
worried every time they show the arrows.
Right.
Does he have enough arrows?
I
No, he
know,
doesn't
I'm always
have-
counting the arrows every day.
No, I don't. Well, so it's a coming of age story as well.
It is.
Right?
It is.
This young actor,
Right.
excellent.
I thought he was fantastic.
Wow.
Right.
Let me give him his.
Alfie.
Yeah,
I
yes.
can't remember his last name. But he's actually 14, but he plays a 12-year-old.
12-year-old, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he looks a little older for
A little
12.
bit, but
Yeah.
someone who's in a post-apocalyptic universe, I think he's appropriate.
Yeah.
But he was fantastic, and this may be what's jarring for a lot of fans is they're not expecting a young man's coming of age story. They just want to see zombies running around the corner and breaking through windows. There's a lot of heavy emotional topics: the death of his mother,
Yes.
and the mistrust of his father,
Oh, well,
disappointment,
the
all this
sequence,
stuff.
the sequence that I thought was so interesting.
Yes.
And here we're in this high-grade zombie film,
Right.
and the kid is watching dad
Right.
getting it off with some young chick.
Right, as his mom is
Yeah,
dying at
yeah.
home.
Now that's pretty base. However,
Uh-huh,
mom is clearly on her way out.
right,
So there's some justification for
Right.
dad after they've had this long journey
mhm,
coming back and the big celebration.
right,
And then this hot chick hits on dad.
exactly.
You know, it's not quite as bad, I thought, as it is in reality.
And I think that's one of the strengths of this movie. The characters are well-rounded.
Yes.
There's no one-sided, except the zombies maybe, but
Yeah.
there's no one-sided characters. There's depth.
Yeah.
The dad is being a jerk. He's being a horrible person, but maybe you can understand why his motivation is that way.
Yeah.
I think the heaviest part for me of this movie
Yes.
was that this young man, that manhood just hits him all at once. Turns 12 and they have this tradition, he has to go outside and kill people. His dad makes him drink until he's drunk, and then he learns the truth about his dad all at once, and then he has to suddenly become a man all at
Yeah,
once.
yeah.
And I think that's what it's about.
Yeah, and going out on this is not only to slaughter some more, they can't get them all,
Mhm.
some more zombies, is
Right.
for him to grow up.
Right.
And boy, does he grow up fast.
Right, maybe too fast,
Yes,
which is
no.
another potential criticism of this movie.
Yes,
It's a
yes.
little quick.
And I think that's a good point.
Right.
And I worried about it too, and then I thought to myself, I always tell Ezra, I go wherever the director wants me to go. In this
Right.
case, it's Danny Boyle,
Right.
who certainly knows his zombie film.
Yes, he does.
Boy, oh boy.
Yes, he does. And he's got some interesting takes on it. And he's one of the kind of progenitors, the leading people in this genre. So,
Yeah.
yep. What did
So-
you think about the ending, though?
All right. So, in the ending, tell me, I'm so bad on endings.
Yep. Well, at the end, it kind of takes a comedic twist, where there's a bunch of funny guys. It seems almost imported from a completely different genre movie, almost
Yes.
something like Zombieland characters, which are really comical and dressed in kind of a goofy, funny way. And they have these over-the-top acrobatic kills or doing backflips. Very strange, very
Yes.
jarring tonally.
Yes.
And I was a little surprised that he did that.
And I thought that Boyle was playing with us.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that because we had such serious expectations,
Right.
and so many of the followers did
Right,
it,
right.
he's gonna thumb his nose at us and say, look, this is all just fun.
Right, well, it's a trilogy,
Right.
so will the next one be a comedy now? I don't know, we have these characters breaking the fourth wall, winking at the camera.
So, trilogy,
Yes,
in what sense? Because we had 28 days.
Right.
And then 28,
28
weeks.
weeks, 28 months was skipped over because
Yeah.
the director was busy with another project. But 28 years, so there's gonna be
This is
3
the third.
movies. Well, so 28 years later is gonna be broken up into 3 movies, kind of like what they did with The Hobbit.
I wondered about that.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's gonna be, the next one's called The Bone Temple, so I think we'll explore more of what Ralph Fiennes' character
Oh,
is.
good, yeah, boy, he is so great.
Yep.
So what's the negative in this, do you think? I mean, both of us expressed some concern
Right.
about the setups.
Right,
Generally speaking, as we're looking at it,
Mhm.
can you think of any reason why somebody wouldn't want to go beside
there's
gory?
a lot. I think people who are fans of the genre are expecting a straightforward zombie romp the way the first one, 28 Days Later, was. This is not it. So if you are not interested in a kind of, this is almost like an A24 version of a zombie movie.
Thank you.
Right?
Yes, I'm surprised it was their film.
Right. There's a lot of
Very
jokes.
good.
There's a lot of emotion. So if you're not into that, then maybe, skip this one. Although I think it's worth a watch.
It strikes me that this story is so basically simple
Yeah.
that it is affecting for that reason. I think that there's that Boyle and Alex Garland,
Yeah.
who is the writer.
Right.
Come on, this is warfare,
Right,
Civil
right.
War.
Right.
I mean, you got 2 top dogs doing this movie.
Right.
So they clean it up in the sense of the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
So you got him going out, they're killing some zombies.
It's very simple.
Very, very, very simple.
and direct.
But it hits major human elements.
Yes.
And it says, if you don't like this as a zombie movie, just take it as a regular coming of age movie for the
Right.
kid.
The problem is it's so good at some points, the intense action
Yes, you're
that is
right.
occasionally in the movie that it leaves people wanting more. And he just didn't want to make that kind of movie.
No, I know it.
Right.
Do you watch other zombie movies?
Oh my goodness, so
Do
many.
you-
It's my
do you-
favorite,
what do
my
you-
favorite genre.
All right, so what do you like about it?
What I think the most interesting part is the collapse of society and seeing what happens. Walking Dead was really popular
No.
when it came out.
Ezra,
And-
wait a minute
yeah,
now.
yeah,
Ezra, you're not
yes.
hinting at contemporary themes here, are you?
Well,
Well, let's bring in our resident liberal.
Okay.
Oh, Wayne's not available.
Okay, stop.
But let's say what I think he would say about this, that
Right.
there's a parallel with the current, for instance, political situation.
Maybe, yep.
Do you think there is?
A little
Is that
bit.
stretching?
I think, well, you have to go far enough to where you're losing basic services, electricity, water,
Okay,
power, that
all
sort
right.
of thing. But when a lawlessness kind of prevails, then certain ugly heads start to rear
Thank you,
themselves.
yes.
Right. And that's what we see.
And those who aren't of that ilk have to barricade themselves against
Right.
what would be the lawlessness
Right.
that is possible.
And in 28 Days Later, that's some of the most disturbing parts of the film where they find a military base that they think will help them, but actually these are just evil people. They want to use the women and,
Yes.
and abuse people and everything. So absolutely, people can be the scariest parts of these.
Well, here's what I'm thinking too. There's a militarism hidden somewhere in this movie.
Mhm.
And that's what I worry is where we're going, for instance, Los Angeles, just
Oh, yeah.
recently.
Oh, yeah.
So you think that's fair?
Yeah.
I
yeah.
mean, Boyle doesn't flesh this out much,
Right.
but they've got to be pretty precise in defending themselves.
Right.
I'm thinking of that.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. That theme is there, and maybe even more in the second 28 weeks later, where England has been completely quarantined, and the U.S. has invaded. And it's almost, some people think it's an allegory for Iraq, the Iraq War.
Oh,
So
all
this
right.
is definitely there.
Ezra Hoover, we are enjoying ourselves way too much here, so I kind of have to cut us off.
Mhm.
But I'm promising that if they come to our next version of this, which would be in WCBE.org, the podcast experience, into that top-rated podcast experience, they will listen to us more.
Yes.
So Ezra, what do you recommend about 28 years later?
Go see it.
For family?
If you're at all, I wouldn't bring a family. I think there's some very intense, but
Okay.
for your teens and higher, I think it's a fantastic movie, and just keep an open mind.
With John DeSando and his friends online, so everything is gonna be just fine. From the top down to the bottom, he's gonna let you know if you should stay home or if you should go. Might even yell if it's a